Dear students, in the last video we discussed thoroughly epithelial tissue. Okay, so that epithelial tissue has two types. One is simple epithelium and second one is compound epithelium. We finished all the kinds of simple as well as compound epitheliums, right? Respectively. And this epithelial tissue performs many more functions. So just to focus on few functions. So in NCERT also it is mentioned there. Very few number of functions of this epithelial tissue are mentioned over here. Along with themselves, many others are there. So we'll discuss all of them so that it would help you a lot to understand what actually the epithelial tissue is, as well as how does it help our body, right? So these are the things, right, what we are discussing now, right? So the functions of epithelial tissue. Functions. Simply I go on explaining the functions one by one. First one is it helps in transportation. Transportation. In what it helps in transportation? Or it is said to be as an exchange of gases. Exchange of materials, especially gases I am going to show here. So in the lungs, so here the kind of lungs here. Inside this lungs, where you come across the bronchi, right? Now this one you will find the air sacs. These air sacs are nothing but alveoli. What they are? Alveoli. Whenever you enlarge one alveoli, so it is lined by the epithelium. Right? What kind of epithelium it is? Squamous epithelium. What kind of epithelium it is? Squamous epithelium. See here, so the air enters in, and so adjacent to this one there is a blood capillary. Blood capillary will be there. So in this blood capillary, CO2 concentration is more. In this alveoli, O2 concentration is more when you inhale the air. So that moment the exchange of the materials take place through this epithelium. Why? Because blood vessel is also lined by what? Squamous epithelium, and alveoli lined with what? Squamous epithelium, so that easily the exchange of the materials that take place over here very easily, right? So hence it helps in what? Transportation or exchange of the materials through it, right? So this is one example or one function of this epithelium. After this one, the second function is it helps in the absorption of the materials. How it helps in absorption of materials? Imagine yourself the small intestine or intestine itself. So this is an intestine. So what it is lined with? Its inner lining is columnar epithelium. Right? It is lined with what? Columnar epithelium. So here you come across the columnar epithelium. Right? So in that the food is moving. The digested food is absorbed by this columnar epithelium, basically the food that is absorbed over here. Okay, and it is sent to the adjacent blood capillaries. It is sent to the adjacent blood capillaries. So that what happened here? Absorption of the food that is done by this epithelial tissue. Right? And third one is it also helps in excretion. It also helps in excretion. In what way it helps in excretion? Right? So draw the diagram of what? Nephron itself. Very simple itself. So what is this nephron? You know So this is a nephron, that is Bowman's capsule. Here you come across what? Here you come across the glomerulus. This is glomerulus. This is Bowman's capsule. This is P city. This is Henle's lobe. This is D city. See here. Okay. So like this. So this is collecting that. See here in this, so this Bowman's capsule, especially this lining and this lining is uncovered or lined by the epithelium. Epithelium. Right? From whenever the blood passes through from this region to this region, that moment blood, so which releases or which removes the waste particles over here, so that filtration occurs over here. Right? So all this is called as nephric filtrate. What it is known as? Nephric filtrate. So when nephric filtrate is collected over here, it passes through PCT as well as the Henle's lobe as well as DCT. So during the passing of these materials, the many number of waste products have been reabsorbed by this tubular structure, and that is so lined by, here you come across the epithelial tissue here also. So this epithelium would help in absorption, and so absorption of the waste materials and excrete them out of the body. So this is how it also helps in excretion. Okay, and so one more thing is what it helps for. Mainly it helps for protection. See here the epithelial tissue which is present on the skin, means it uncovers the body of the organisms externally, hence it helps in protection of the underlying tissues. Say for example, this is the covering of the body which is laid by any one of the epithelium, and so below that one basement membrane is present over here, and below that one any other tissues are present over here. So if this epithelium is not there, then underlying tissue has been damaged because of some of the reasons. Okay, so that's why it is protective in nature. It protects our body from the external stresses, right? So hence it also helps in protection. Okay, so apart from this one, sensory reception, what we call it as, how it helps in sensing the things, right? Whenever you consume the food, there in the tongue, so what are present? Taste buds are there. What are there? Taste buds are there. They sense the taste of the food material, whether it is pungent, whether it is so sour, whether it is sweet or something else, right? So those taste buds will sense the taste of the food. And apart from this one, in our retina, you have studied eye, in our retina, rods as well as cones are the specialized recepting cells are there. Specialized cells are there. They receive the light and they sense the object before the eyes. Okay, so it happens, so due to the presence of this epithelial tissue on the upper layer, right? So that is why it is also helping in sensory reception, right? Sensory reception it helps for. It helps for exchange of the materials. It helps for absorption, excretion, right? All these are the major functions of what? This epithelial tissue. And by this we finished the epithelial tissue, and let us start with the next important tissue, that is muscular tissue. This muscular tissue, what it is, how it is, what are the cells it makes this muscular tissue, all these are the things let us discuss now. Now we shall start with muscular tissue. Muscular tissue, right? So this muscular tissue is specialized for contraction and relaxation. It is specialized for contraction and relaxation, right? So it has very important characteristic features. What are those characteristic features of this muscular tissue? Basically, let us know. It has extensibility. It has extensibility and it has elasticity. It has elasticity and contractability. Contractability. So these are the major characteristic features of this muscular tissue. See here, so extensibility is there, elasticity is there, as well as contractability is there. They can contract as well as relax themselves. That kind of ability this muscular tissue is. So it is specialized for what? Contraction and relaxation. It is a special characteristic feature of this muscular tissue. If we want to move this hand, then contraction and relaxation of the muscles are taking place over here. And this muscular tissue is made up of, the cells called as muscle cells. Muscle cells, right? So muscle cells are the special type of cells which have contractibility. So muscle fiber it is also called as muscle fiber. It is also called as. And this kind of tissue, especially we must know the origin of this tissue. So this tissue is mainly originated from, originated from mesoderm, right? So as already I have mentioned, there are three germ layers are there. First one is ectoderm, endoderm as well as mesoderm are there. So some of the exceptional things are there. So all the muscles are not originating from mesoderm. Majority of themselves are originating from the mesoderm. So few are exceptional in case, right? So they are especially rising from the ectoderm also, right? So origin over. Then how the muscle fibers are, how the structure of these muscle fibers. Let us see here. So I shall draw here one muscle fiber. Right? So this is one muscle fiber. You can understand. So this is spindle in shape with tapering ends. It is a spindle in shape with tapering ends. Tapering ends are there. So this is one kind of muscle fiber. What we call it as is smooth muscle. What it is known as smooth muscle, right? So different types of muscles are there. I shall take this smooth muscle as an example for explaining the parts of this muscle fiber. Such kind of many number of fibers are there in our body. So they are differently located in different parts of the body and they perform the same function, that is contraction as well as relaxation, of course, right? So let us see the parts of this muscle fiber. See here, the outermost cell membrane itself, cell membrane of this muscle fiber is called as sarcolemma. Remember all these terms, very important terms. These are sarcolemma. And so this cell has the cytoplasm within it, and that cytoplasm is called as sarcoplasm, and it has the endoplasmic reticulum present within this, so muscle fibers, right? The endoplasmic reticulum that is present inside this muscle fiber called as sarcoplasmic reticulum. Right? And one more thing, a very important thing, it is it has centrally located nucleus. What it is? Nucleus. And the unique feature of this one is, in this muscle fiber, there you come across fibrous structure which are randomly arranged in these cells, and those fiber-like structures which are randomly arranged, these are called as myofibrils. What these are known as? Myofibrils. So these are the major parts of this muscle fiber, right? What they are? The membrane is called as sarcolemma, and the cytoplasm is called as sarcoplasma, and the endoplasmic reticulum present in that one is called as sarcoplasmic reticulum, and the fiber-like structures which are present in that one, myofibrils, and the nucleus is present over here. These are the major parts of one muscle fiber. Muscle fibers are of different shape, so different kinds are there. So let us see them one by one, of course. So this is one example of what I am going to give over here, right? So I hope you have understood how this structure is, right? So apart from this one, let us see other things. What is that? So the classification of these muscle fibers, right? Classification. How these are classified over here? So these are classified on the basis of their microscopic structure. Structure is considered over here. And so one more important point is their location. Very important one is location. Based on microscopic structure. Based on the microscopic structure, right? And nervous control, right? Based on the nervous control, they have been classified into three types of muscles. So number one is involuntary. So they are smooth muscles. Smooth muscles, they are also called as unstriated muscles. These are also known as unstriated muscles, right? And second one is striated muscles or skeletal muscles. These are called as. And third one is cardiac muscles. So like this, they have been classified into three kinds based on their location, their nervous control, as well as microscopic structure itself. So what are those ones? Smooth muscles are unstriated muscles, and second one is striated muscles or skeletal muscles, and third one is cardiac muscles. Like this, they have been classified into three kinds. So the structure of all these kinds of muscle fibers and their respective functions, whether they are voluntary or involuntary, so how they are working, everything will study one by one now itself. First one is unstriated muscles or smooth muscles. unstriated muscles. These are specialized muscles. These muscles are so specialized muscles. See here, these muscles are located. First of all, we will see the location of these muscle fibers. So these are located in intestine. Especially they are located in intestine, especially all other visceral organs. They are located mainly in visceral organs. Visceral organs are the organs which are filled with the fluid. Right? So these are the organs which are filled with fluid itself. Right? So they are filled with fluid. Blood vessels, lymph vessels, like this many number of structures, these muscles are present. And these muscles are working very slowly. Muscles are working in the sense that contract and relax very slowly, so that you cannot feel. So there the contraction and relaxation of the intestine is going on so unconsciously, and these muscles are working continuously, and they are not under the will of the human being. That's why these are said as involuntary muscles, right? So now you are able to write what kind of muscles these are. These are working very slowly. We can't sense their working itself. We cannot sense their working. So that way they are working, and these are involuntary muscles. These are. They are involuntary muscles. They are not under the will of the human being. It is not controlled by the nervous system, right? So that's why involuntary muscles these are called as. And whenever you go through the structure of these muscle fibers, already I had drawn the diagram of the same muscle. So let us go through the structure of that one. Okay, so in structure, these muscle fibers are spindle in shape. Spindle shaped cells these are. Spindle shaped cells with tapering ends. They have tapering ends, and so these muscle fibers have plasma membrane. So that membrane is called as what? Sarcolemma, which is very thin, right? So which is very thin enough. So sarcolemma is there. So that covers the cytoplasm within the cell, and that cytoplasm itself is called as sarcoplasm. What it is called as? Sarcoplasm. And that sarcoplasm mainly consisting of the nucleus. So this sarcoplasm consisting of nucleus, and this nucleus is somewhat elongated. Nucleus it is. That kind of nucleus is present over here. And one more point. So the endoplasmic reticulum present in this muscle fiber is called as sarcoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum present in this one is sarcoplasmic reticulum, right? And next one. So in this muscle fiber, there the fibrous structures are randomly arranged. There are some fibrous structures are randomly arranged, and such kind of fibrous structures are called as myofibrils. What those are named as myofibrils, they are known as. These myofibrils are randomly arranged in these muscle fibers. Hence you cannot see dark as well as light bands on these muscle fibers. So these are randomly arranged because of that one, dark and light bands are not present in these muscle fibers. They are not at all seen in these muscle fibers. That kind of muscle fibers are what? They are smooth muscles. Their surface itself is smooth muscles these are. So these muscles have these kind of characteristic features. Alright, so this is about what? The smooth muscles, or they are also called as unstriated. So as I said, dark as well as light bands are not seen on this muscle fiber, so that is why they are called as unstriated. There are no striations at all. Striations in the sense that I will show the bands in the next type of muscle fibers. Then what are the next type of muscle fibers? The points should be very clear in this type. So what are those ones? They are mainly seen in visceral organs, in which they are working very slowly. And so we cannot sense their working, and these are involuntary in nature. This is more important for NEET, especially what kind of muscle fibers are voluntary, involuntary, that is asked usually. And sarcoplasmic reticulum is more important aspect to be remembered, and the fibrous structures called as myofibrils are randomly arranged. So that is why dark and light bands are absent over here in this type of the muscle fibers. Point to be noted. All these points are very important. Next, second type of muscle fibers. So they are what? Striated muscles, or they are also called as skeletal muscles. Why these are called as skeletal muscles is the question arises. Why these kind of muscles are known as skeletal muscles? Why? Because these muscles are attached to the skeletal system. They are bounded to the skeletal system. These are bounded to skeletal system. Skeletal system in the sense that bones. They are binded to bones itself, right? So that is why they are called as skeletal muscles. The point is very important point. So this is to be noted over here. And these muscle fibers, how they are, their structure will go through. Structure of these muscle fibers. So whenever you see the muscle fibers, these are cylindrical in shape. How they are? They are cylindrical in shape. And on these cylindrical shaped muscle fibers, you will find this kind of dark and light bands over here. I hope you are seeing over here. Right? Dark and light bands. This is said to be as dark band, and this is said to be as light band. So why these dark and light bands are formed later, I will explain. Now see here, such kind of many number of muscle fibers are there. They are cylindrical in shape. Write the point. So these are cylindrical in shape. So muscle fibers are cylindrical in shape. So there are many in number. There are many in number. They will be in a group, and these muscle fibers are uncovered with a connective tissue. Very important point. A connective tissue membrane. Right? So tissue membrane, such kind of many number of muscle fibers are there. They will be in group like this, right? So they will be in group. You will find this kind of muscle fibers. So they have dark and light bands. So such kind of many number of so muscle fibers are there. They are uncovered with a membrane, and that connective membrane, so which makes the group of these muscles in bundle, and it is called as fascicle. What it is known as? So fascicle. A group of muscle fibers together uncovered with a connective tissue membrane, and that whole entire structure itself, which is consisting of a group of so these muscle fibers as well as that connective tissue membrane together form the fascicle, right? So, and they are responsible for contraction and relaxation, right? So this is the nature of these muscle fibers. Okay, one more point to be noted here. What is that? Usually the nucleus are present over here. As you know, these muscle fibers which are cylindrical in nature, right? So these are in a group and they are uncovered with a membrane forming the fascicle, and these muscle fibers have multi-nucleated condition. Point to be noted. These have multi-nucleated condition. So nuclei are somewhat elongated, and they are peripherally arranged. Where these are peripheral. Peripheral means towards the end, right? Towards this. So peripheral part of this muscle fiber, the nuclei are present. So they are multi-nucleated form, right? So this point to be noted very clearly over here itself. Yes. So multi-nucleated condition, you must remember, this is very important for NEET examination. Okay, so multi-nucleated condition, and the nucleus is located towards the periphery of the muscle fiber. And one more point, so this has dark and light bands. Why this has dark and light bands over here? So that point to be noted over here. As already I have explained that, so here are some myofibrils. What are present? Myofibrils. And those myofibrils are arranged themselves, so, and they are forming the dark band. Where the myofibrils are not arranged, it forms the light band. So this way, the myofibrillar arrangement makes the dark as well as light band, right? Myofibrils forms the dark and light bands, right? So these are, their arrangement makes the dark one, and the light bands are formed due to the absence of these myofibrils there. And these muscle fibers, since they are attached to the skeletal system or the bones in our body, they are working according to the will of the human being or the animal itself. Hence, these are said to be as voluntary muscles. What these are? Skeletal muscles are voluntary muscles. They are voluntary muscles, and these muscles are working not continuously. So they undergo fatigue when they work very hard. So that moment they undergo fatigue. But previous one, that is nothing but, so that is smooth muscles. They are of course working continuously, very slowly, but they do not undergo fatigue. That point to be noted over here. These undergo fatigue. These undergo fatigue, but the previous one do not undergo fatigue. So that is the nature of these muscle fibers. That is striated muscles or skeletal muscles. Right? Point to be noted over here. And these are voluntary in nature, means these are working under the will of the organism. So that's why, so these are voluntary in nature. And one more point to be noted over here, since these are binded to the skeletal system of the body, so these are called as skeletal muscles. And these muscles are responsible for walking, jumping, right? So all these activities have been done by the body because of these muscles. If we are running continuously for 1 kilometer, then all our muscles get fatigued, tired immediately. These tired immediately, but since so the smooth muscles are working very slowly, they do not get. Type of muscle fibers is cardiac muscle fibers. See here, cardiac muscle fibers are here. These cardiac muscle fibers have both the characteristic features of smooth muscles as well as the striated muscles or skeletal muscles, right? See here, so the specific or unique nature of these muscles and the major difference between the striated muscles as well as cardiac muscles is, these muscles have branchings. They make branch and they attach to the neighboring muscle fibers. Right? This is the unique feature of these muscle fibers. So let's start the characteristic feature of cardiac muscles one by one. So these are the specialized muscles. These are specialized muscles that make the wall of cardiac. Cardiac stand for heart, right? It makes the wall of the heart itself, right? So that is why these are specialized muscles which make the wall of the heart itself, right? So this is the first point to be noted. And these muscles are similar to skeletal muscles which are cylindrical in shape. They are cylindrical in shape, but branched, right? They make branch so as to join with the neighboring muscle fibers. So this is very important point, unique point to be noted. But the skeletal muscles are not at all branched one, right? So they will be singly, right? So next one, these muscle fibers are also cylindrical in shape and they have alternative light and dark bands, right? So these have alternate dark and light bands. Alternate dark as well as light bands. That is nothing but striations are seen over here. Striations are seen over here also, right? So that is the unique nature. And these muscle fibers, very important point to be noted over here. So whenever two muscle fibers are joined, right? So joined with the help of a joint called as intercalated disc, right? So two muscle fibers, two cardiac muscles, so they join with the help of intercalated discs, where two membranes of cells join each other, bind each other, right? So forming elongated structure. See here, intercalated disc is here. Here is also. This is one muscle fiber. This is another muscle fiber. Both the muscle fibers are bounded with the help of intercalated disc. So such kind of intercalated disc, where the membrane of this muscle fiber and this muscle fiber fuse each other, forming this intercalated disc, right? So forming an elongated strand. Forming an elongated strand of muscle fibers, so that whenever these contract themselves, all these strands itself contract each other, right? Entire strand is contracting over here. So this is the unique nature of these. So cardiac muscles, intercalated disc is very important point to be noted over here. Right, so this is important for NEET examination. Next one. So these are also cylindrical in nature, and these are working until the last breath of the human being or the animal. Right, working continuously and rhythmically. So they are working continuously or rhythmically they are working, right? So this point to be noted over here. And these do not get fatigue. They do not get fatigue easily. They work until the last breath of the human being or the animal, and they do not get tired. So this is the unique feature of this. So muscle fibers itself, right? And are they working according to the will of the human being? No, they do not work according to the will of the human being, right? If you said our heart to stop for a few minutes, does it stop itself? Does these all muscle fibers are listening to your orders? No, they never bother about your orders. They work themselves continuously until the last breath of the human being. Hence these are involuntary muscles. Hence these are involuntary muscles. So which are responsible for the continuous or rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the heart itself, right? So this is also very important point to be noted in case of cardiac muscles, right? So these muscles are also similar to the skeletal muscles, but these are branched, they are unbranched. Smooth muscles are also showing branches, but it's very rare itself, right? So very rarely they branch themselves, but here many branches that you come across, and the muscle fibers are connected with the help of intercalated disc, so as to form the elongated strand of the muscle fibers. All together they work in the unit, right? And these are involuntary in nature, and these do not get fatigue itself, right? So these are the important characteristic feature of what? So these cardiac muscles. By this we finished one more type of animal tissue, that is muscular tissue. Muscular tissue is meant especially for what? It is meant especially for elasticity, contractibility, as well as relaxation, right? All these are the important features of different kinds of muscle fibers or muscular tissues. Thank you.